You have wondered what you would be able to do if you were the ultimate version of you, right? You would then have an easy time creating what you want, and yes, effortlessly enjoying life too. Now, you may know this already, the influence you have over your reality is far beyond what you've been told. Soon, you realize that your outer world is merely a mirror of your inner world, and we're here to connect the dots for you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GODMODE.
First off, before we even begin, make sure that if you're going to listen to this episode, just be careful if you're driving or, make sure you're not operating heavy machineries, because we're going to talk about the topic of sleep, and some people may want to go take a nap after. So just know that the nature of the material and the things and stories we're going to tell may put you in a state where you are sleepy. So just be very careful and safe, and preferably listen to it in a place where you're safe and it's effortless for you to listen to this. So let's jump in. One of the most neglected areas of life, wouldn't you say it's sleep?
Definitely. 100%.
People try to work more, sleep later, sleep less so they can work more.
That terrible complex equivalence, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Well, the Sleep Foundation, they did a study, and it said about half of all Americans say that they feel sleepy between 2 and 5 days a week, more than like 50% of their entire day.
Times that by 52 weeks in the year.
Yeah. And here's where it's really crazy. The economic impact of it is, I think it was 20 billion? It's like 20 billion lost in economic productivity because you got people that are not sleeping very well. And so they go to work and then their work is not as effective and they're not getting as much done and they're forgetting stuff. And so I think the world could use a little bit of a rekeying on sleep.
I think it's a lot more than a little bit, don't you think?
And they could use a little more of intentional sleep too. I think that's what we're going to talk about today. It's not just getting sleep, not just setting up your environment that could properly help you fall asleep faster and recover faster, but using that time while you're sleeping to make yourself more productive the next day. Because we talk about this a lot in Upgrade. Hey, it's not about doing things harder or using force more while you're awake. Why not use that 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 hours of sleep time to get faster results for yourself too?
Yeah, in fact, like you guys are saying, right? Even just a little bit of improvement could yield massive return. And so we're going to talk about how you can massively leverage the time of sleep so that you can actually have an even more productive day and also feel better during the day and be more productive. Not to mention, there's a lot of things that go on during sleep. For example, your mind is processing information and data that you gather throughout the day. Your mind's doing a number of other things, from mental, emotional to even physiological things, right? Now, what we are wanting to help you with is how do we help you leverage the time of your sleep to actually get results? Because that's time you're going to spend sleeping anyway, right? And if we can help you not only maximize what you can do during sleep, you're going to find that sleep's going to be more valuable than most people think. You can actually do a lot of installation and upgrade. Just like when you go home, right? Let's say your phone's like, I need an update, right? Install the update. It will oftentimes do it in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. And it installs the update. So when you wake up, you already have the results that you want, the update that you want, right? So with Upgrade, what we want you to know is that it's possible not only, but it's actually the way to do it. If you can upgrade your mind during sleep, you wake up, you'll be your best performing self, and you'll naturally have more success.
That's where we get a lot of our answers too, if you're asking yourself the right questions, right? I think that was one of the biggest skill sets that I've learned to develop over the past few years is learning how to ask the right questions before I go to sleep. And then obviously these amazing hypnosis tracks, these meditation tracks that you've been able to develop and provide for our clients, the feedback that we've gotten from them too is my sleep is so much more restful. I've had clients talk about, like, literally say, I listen to the business and sales, the wealth hypnosis tracks before I go to meetings sometimes. Of course, they'll take a small nap. They're not driving again before they go into a meeting. And they're like, dude, I got results faster because of this track. So this is about knowing that sleep is super powerful for us, and then using the time, you said leveraging the time to make it better for us.
Yeah, these audio tracks are essentially guided meditations, right? And sure, we've gone through trainings like, the American Board of Hypnotherapy training and certified instructors, and being a certified instructor of that, I've come to understand how to communicate, because really what is hypnosis is the ability to communicate with the unconscious mind directly. And leveraging that to create guided meditations allows the participants or the listeners to not only leverage their own mind to do what they want, but have an easy time of installing positive, beneficial, very positive habits and programs during sleep. And, really just about any time during the day. But during sleep, it's nice because you are not doing anything else, right? You're sleeping and that message can still get through. And it's really, I would say, one of our most popular products and or services that people listen to it. And so many of our clients joke around when we meet them or when they see us, they're like, oh, it's so funny to finally meet you in person, because my husband listens to you every night before he falls asleep. He listens to your voice before he falls asleep. I'm like, wow, that sounds great.
I'm flattered.
Yeah.
Thanks, I guess.
Yeah. And then a few months later, they'll be like, both of them listen to me. And I'm like, even better, the whole family. Yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world to be able to, when someone is listening to a podcast, usually they're doing something else, right? They leverage the time. Oh, I have to drive, so I'm going to listen and I'm going to learn something. Like, that's what I do. I don't even listen to music
Maybe except
anymore.
this episode.
Yeah. Except for this one, don't be driving. But or they're at home.
Or do it very carefully.
They're cooking food. They're doing something. And because there's an ability to be doing something while still processing, right? And so you can then do that while you're asleep. That's the ultimate life hack. Like, it's phenomenal. The response that people say, it's how I go to sleep better. It's how I wake up. Like, I've got a whole clear, focus when I wake up, because now I was listening to this, as I was sleeping, and it's funny because there was a massive study that just came out, and it was saying there's a near direct correlation with people who get less than 5 hours of sleep every day are overwhelmingly more prone to, let's say, a lot of health issues that concern people that they would very much want to avoid.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
An almost direct correlation. And it has to do with how much sleep that you're getting. And so if you can master hack your way into sleeping better, sleeping longer, and then using the time to get yourself into a state of I woke up thinking about how I was going to crush it today, how awesome it was going to be. Or I woke up thinking things I hadn't considered before. I'm full of ideas.
You wake up knowing exactly how to crush it.
Yeah.
And do it really well, right?
Yeah.
See, I think a lot of times people are like, well, sleep is a waste of time because I'm not doing anything. But what if you are doing something to maximize? In fact, sleep is the best time for you to install a program or to upgrade your program, because your conscious mind's not sitting there doubting your goals, wondering if you can actually achieve what you want. Your mind is just accepting. Try this as an experiment, right? As a kind of a joke, but for you to witness how powerful this can be. Let's say you go to bed and let's say you're married or whatever, your partner or your spouse. If you whisper in their sleep, this is a fun little experiment. Do it, safely, of course, but suggest to them, you're going to wake up and want to take the garbage out. When you wake up, you're going to want to take the garbage out. Repeat it a few times when they're sleeping and observe how many days it takes for them to, out of the ordinary patterns, the normal daily patterns, they will go and take the trash out. They'll just feel this desire to go take the trash out. Yeah, it's give it a shot, see what happens.
That's cool.
And it's a very fun experiment to witness before your eyes, right? wow, I can suggest something during sleep and it happens like that. And we have a engineered way of precisely installing some very good things during sleep. In fact, they're multi-channel. We spent tons and tons of hours creating and engineering these audios so that people in our training can leverage and utilize them. And something to think about too is that if you can use your sleep efficiently and give you something very useful, you would want to sleep more, because during the day, you won't have to do as much processing. You can wake up refreshed, but also have the resources, the strategies, the inspiration to know exactly what to do. In fact, during the day, you'll just know who to talk to, what to say, and where to go, and all that stuff, right? And that would save you a lot of time.
Yeah. And I mean, we can go, none of us are doctors here, but we all know the benefits of sleep. I think everyone knows innately, hey, if I get more sleep, I'm more restful, my body's going to feel better, my mind's going to feel better. To piggyback off what you said about time, I remember when I first started listening to your tracks and I was realizing about asking right questions before going to sleep and utilizing that time. Well, there's a saying out there that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something, right? So I started doing some math. I was like, okay, if I intentionally and consciously for 1 hour a day chose something, let's say it's like playing guitar, and I practice it for 1 hour a day times 7 days a week, 52 weeks in the year, divide that by 10,000 hours, it'd be 27 and a half years for me to become a master at something, right?
Oh, wow.
However, now let's think about not only consciously, intentionally doing something, but then unconsciously adding in 5, 6, 7 hours at night where I'm using that time, I'm leveraging that. Now let's times 7 times 52 weeks in the year and divide that by 10,000. How many more years, how much decades did I just solve and speed up my time and
Just saves yourself decades.
Literally decades. It became in like 4.5 years to become a master at something.
Wow.
And I think that's why we see many of our clients have that hockey stick of being able to 10, 20, 30x their income because they're getting fast results by leveraging that time of speed while they're sleeping, getting their unconscious mind to utilize time faster for themselves.
It's magical. It's magical. I remember when I was about 18 or 19 years old, I was full of anxiety. And I found these hypnotherapy and or guided meditations. Really, there aren't a ton of differences, except that, oftentimes, not always, oftentimes the really good hypnotherapy sessions, the recording audios, are done by people that are actually qualified and trained, right? But of course, even amongst those who have those titles, you need to make sure they have good intentions, they're ecological, and they're actually trained, well-trained, right? And so, because the linguistics behind what they say is crucial. It's very important to understand what words presuppose and what's going through the minds of the individual who are recording these things. That being said, I found some really epic, really good, useful audios. I think I was about 18, 19, and I listened to them. Literally 1 or 2 nights later, I found myself, it was almost like magically removed my feeling of anxiety. Now, I literally did not know what happened. I'm like, how is this possible? I woke up more restful than ever. I fell asleep so well, and I was able to let go of some stuff that I was like, whoa. It was like a do-for process. It was so good. And so ever since then, I was like, how do I learn and master the skill so I can do such, because at the beginning, I was just like, I just want to do it for myself, because I'm like, imagine if I can just get my mind to do something that I want without resisting, without any resistance, without me resisting it. Well, the only time really to do it is either in a very deep meditative state or when I'm sleeping. And the most convenient one is literally just go to sleep and be able to utilize that, right? But then I knew there were years of training involved that really to get to that point. And so fast forward to now, we've done those years of training and we know how to do it. And so one of the biggest learnings that I think you're going to take away and you're going to be happy if you were to choose to utilize, and many of you are already in our training and or have in your possession our nighttime, training or nighttime sleep program, right? We're actually coming out with a new one called Upgrade via Sleep. And you're going to see it in the coming months, if not weeks, that we're going to announce it. And it's going to be a revolution of what we have done. They're very convenient and easy to use. And in fact, it's a dramatic discount from what we've been charging. And the reason is we want more people to have access to it. And that being said, I think that if you were to take anything away, think about this. Right when you go to sleep, right before you fall asleep, there's a moment where you're about to enter into, that sleep state. And you're beginning to recall even sometimes the dreams that you had the day before or the week before. You know how that feels like, where you, like, normally during the day, you're awake, you couldn't remember the dreams. But when you're about to fall asleep, you're like, wow, I just remember. You've experienced that, haven't you guys? That moment is actually an extremely wonderful moment where you have pierced through the layer, that critical thinking where that separates you from your unconscious mind, right? And what's in there, you're literally now, there's no wall, there's no veil between your conscious and unconscious. You can drop suggestions in there. So what could you drop in there? If you pre-design during the day, during your awake hours, good things, good suggestions, this is now a good time to utilize affirmations. But instead of calling it affirmations, it's an installation.
Yeah. A lot of people, unfortunately, will be looking at their phone or watching some, like, maybe a scary movie right around that time, as you're saying, piercing the veil.
Especially this time of the year.
Spooky season.
Spend there.
Depending on when you're watching this video, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, now it's about Halloween, and if you spend your right before you fall asleep time watching scary movies,
or giving yourself, or just watching negative things, scrolling, looking at negative things.
True crime podcasts, like so many people.
Think about what you play on the stage of your mind is a preview of coming attraction.
Yes.
And the more humans are transmission and receiving devices or mechanisms, right? Our mind, our body. So if we constantly, and there's a large amount of people spending their right before I'm not saying that you shouldn't watch things that you want to watch, but if it's right before you fall asleep, when literally the veil is open and you're dropping installation in, would you really want to install stuff that literally scares the bejeebies out of you? Or something terrible, sad, angry, all of those negative things? Or would you want to install things that are loving, thoughts that are, about self-care, self-appreciation, gratitude, all the things that makes your unconscious mind feel loved? I mean, heck, even just thinking about some of those movies, I was feeling like, and I'm fully awake.
Yeah, I felt too. I was last week, right before I went to bed, I actually put on a scary movie, and like 10 minutes in, my unconscious mind was like, we're about to go to sleep. Stop this. What are you doing?
It's so important to shield it. And I learned that so clearly this year, as I've kind of gone into my upgrade journey, is how important it is to shield the unconscious mind from these suggestions that don't serve you. So I love music. And so I love hip hop, like a lot of hip hop, trap music. And you're just kind of, I'm here for the beat or whatever. The lyrics are kind of, but also you start breaking some of those down, whether it's like rock, there's just a lot of suggestions that occur in the music that we listen to. And whether or not we're like, oh, it's a song, like it's awesome, I love the beat, I love this.
You can consciously ignore it, but no.
Yeah. By and large, like people are doing it as a passive thing. It's like, man, you deserve to have better things suggested to your mind. And so lately I don't even listen to it anymore. I can't. Yeah. I want to focus on.
People listen to terrible music to fall asleep to.
Yeah. How wild is that?
Or to drive. When they're in trance. Driving is another time when they oftentimes are in a automated driving mode, a trance state. Well, do you want to be putting stuff in that you don't want?
Right.
Like I skip song a lot. Like I still allow myself and enjoy listening to certain popular music, rock music or whatever, electronic. But I have to skip a lot of them. As soon as I hear a word that I'm like,
Yeah, any suggestions that are unecological, like I feel it now. And I think what's powerful about the sleep course that Upgrade has designed is that goes back to that analogy.
It's the opposite of those.
We can install, like our phones update, and it'll do a software update at night when we're sleeping. Well, you can do the same thing with your mind, right? You can, as you're sleeping, you can have that software update, and it's easy. And this is what we all talk about at Upgrade: speed and easy, right? Make it a nice install. So as you're sleeping, you wake up and you feel good and you're ready because you're in a more resourceful state. In the morning, the rest of your day is just going to be much easier. And you're going to leverage that. You're leveraging the time to get better results the next day.
Yeah, there are a lot of trainings that went into how to make these really function well. And the suggestions linguistically, they were designed very carefully. So it's not only an upgrade and an update, but also a detox session for the mental, emotional side of the mind. And also you'll find that it cleanses you from the suggestions that you've been given throughout the day that's no longer, frankly, never served you, right? And I remember utilizing these audios over the years and how much not only has put me at ease. I mean, you can ask any of, like most of you who have gone through our training and or have listened to our audios, you know how it feels like, right? Even if you bought our $100 focus, right? The upgrade focus training, the 21-day challenge, now included in it as a focus audio that you can listen to before sleep. It helps you focus better. And so many people text us, they're like, wow, that's amazing, right? So I would say if there's anything to take away from this one, allow yourself to shield yourself from negative suggestions and allow yourself to only listen to, especially during the time right before you fall asleep and right when you wake up, where your mind, that curtain is not closed and it's not filtering as much, where you're just installing stuff. So using those moments to install good things and good things only, you're going to find yourself and your life elevating big time. And so begin that. And if you want to learn more, jump into our sleep course. We'll see you guys soon.
Good one.
Later.